Health Education Lecture Series. All the listeners of Health Education Lecture Series, I'm your host, Gurdeep Singh Sandhu, homeopathic consultant. My clinic address is 9701 Sarah and Court, Dublin, California 94568. Phone number 408 687 1899. Anytime, if you are tired of any treatments or you want to get second opinion about your disease, you can call me at 408 687 1899, or you can send me an email to get the answer of your health concerned questions. Homeomedicine, HOMEOMEDICINE at yahoo.com. Even if you want to buy homeopathic medicine, even then you can call me at the same phone number 408 687 1899. Homeopathic system is a systematic approach to your health. It's not hit and trial method as it was assumed previously that it is only for the kids, sweet pills doctors give, and it is only for the. It's not. It's not. It's actually the basic help to your body, basic help to your systems, and basically the health as a whole. You can say that the homeopathy deals with your basic health from where the disease originates. Mostly, the medical sciences at this time, they treat the disease whenever they are having any positive symptoms, positive results of the lab test. And if they do not have any positive lab tests, they are unable to treat. Just symptomatically, they said, okay, whatever your problem is, we will try to subside that one, not to cure, subside. Cure is only possible. Listen, cure is only possible when we know the causes behind that one and we are able to remove those causes. Then and only then we are able to cure the maladies, we cure the diseases. Otherwise, we are whatever we are doing for the sake of treatment, that is a suppressive things. We are suppressing the conditions. We are just satisfying the present condition, whatever is the condition of the patient at that time. So therefore, I always recommend to go with the systematic approach. To go first of all, find from where the disease has started, go with that what was the initial conditions of the state of your health, especially the mentality, because whenever a person falls sick, he is the only individual who knows that I am not feeling well. And at that time there are not very much important symptoms so that they can tell you or you can diagnose a name of the disease at that time. Just he has the feelings that I'm not feeling well, I'm not feeling healthy. How? What are the conditions that you do not feel? Do you want to, you are not hungry, you do not feel appetite, or you are over bloated, or you are not sleeping well, or something else, whatever your feelings are. Those are the preliminary sign and symptoms of your disease which has just started. But it has not produced any gross changes inside your body system. And nowadays, the lab tests are just to explore this thing that what has changed your disease, what has changed in your system. And unless you feel that one, but it has changed in your system physically, and you can identify that one by the lab test, you are unable to treat that. And at that time, all the medical sciences mostly, they say we are doing symptomatic. No doubt homeopathy deals with the symptoms, but there is a difference between saying, okay, take a symptomatic treatment, Or according to homeopathic system, it's a proper way of treatment of the symptoms. And I have described many times all these things, that uh, some of the symptoms are recently present in your system and you are trying to suppress those in whatever way. A person feels headache and you do not know what's the cause behind his headache. Okay, take some painkiller and you will get better. There is no question of what was the reason behind that. And ultimately the same reason will may come up again and again and again, and you are taking the same medications, you are taking the same painkillers or something like that. And it is just an example. For all the diseases, same thing is going on, all in all the hospitals, in all the clinics, same thing is going on. Whatever you give in shape of symptoms, the doctor try to suppress that. Unless we know the causes behind those, we are unable to cure anything. We cannot claim that we are curing the things. We are just suppressing the things. We are just temporarily relieving the things, relieving the pains. Whereas the homeopathic system deals with your actual personality, the mental faculties, from where the first of all a person feels that I'm sick. Anyway, about this thing, I have given many lectures in these radio programs. And at this time, you are listening to me on Sabarang radio station, on YouTube and Facebook medias. And in these medias, I have given many more lectures about this one. What a homeopathic physician thinks about the disease, and what a homeopathic physician thinks about the causes of the disease. And all those things, when they come into their physical state, what does it mean? Whether we should remove the leaves, branches, then stem, then after that we will reach to the roots, or first of all we should go to the root to remove that one. There is a difference in between that. Nobody has that much time, and no doctor even has that much time that he will go to the deep to the senses, that what was the basic reasons behind his disease. They are just relieving the symptoms and say, oh, we are treating symptomatically. And what's the difference between homeopathic symptomatically and what's the difference between all other systems of systematically? They conceive physical symptoms, they conceive physical changes inside the systems, and then they try to abolish those one, then they try to suppress those one. Whereas a homeopathic physician takes those symptoms which do not have any present relation with the present conditions, but with the origin of the disease, with the origin of these symptoms. And when we know that the origin of the disease has started from the mental faculty, I have many times given examples of the projectors of the film, that if there is a spot on the screen, you see that, and you are moving the screen here and there, you cannot remove permanently that spot unless you go to the projector, unless you go to that film which is fit into the projector, and you are seeing a broad spectrum on the screen, and you cure it, you remove it, that spot from the film, that will not go permanently. You will just remove the screen. This body is a screen of the internal vitality, and internal vitality represents himself in the terms of physical symptoms. And physical symptoms, before it appears, before physical symptoms appears on a body, there is a stage when they are only realized by the person suffering, sick persons, and those are known as subjective symptoms. Whereas all other medical sciences do not give any weightage to these subjective symptoms. Oh, it's nothing. Whereas, contrary to this belief, homeopathic believes that whatever this life force is an invisible force that runs this body, the functioning abnormal or normal functions are run by that vital force, and that vital force is an invisible force inside the body, and forces cannot be seen, and they are realized by their effects on the physical body, just like electricity. You see that. Where is the switch? And if any wire you see, you cannot see that the electricity is there, but with the connection of that wire, if you see the light is open, if you see any machinery is working, you can realize that yes, there was a current, there was power. The same way this body has similar type of current, similar type of power, which affects the higher center of this body. We just recognize the body had to heal, but we do not know about the origin and effect from where this body is affected, how this body is affected, and who is responsible for that. And ultimately, the homeopathic philosophy has declared that every influence of any noxious agency means influences which can produce the diseases, influences which can make changes inside your body, physical body or whatever. Those influences influence your vital force, and that vital force is bound to work according to him. You want to go for the speed of 80 or 70 or whatever. And what when you are under influence of anything, that influences forces you to run fast or to run slow, and you are bound to according to his advices, because that is overpowering you, that is overpowering. So any disease comes over the system when it is stronger in power from our vitality, and that forces us, because that has not origin. Our vital forces has its origin. It is coming, the influence of the disease is coming from the outside sources, but they are forcing it. And when they are forcing it to run according to this one, then under those conditions, our vitality is forced to work according to him. But ultimately, it is trying to remove that influence himself. But when vitality is weaker than the outside influences, then it shows up, it cries up, just like you call somebody else for the help. And those help initially, in the first stage, in the initial stages of the disease, any disease, every disease, it is produced by the mental faculties. I'm feeling this thing, I'm realizing this thing. At that time, if you go to the doctor and doctor recommend you to go to the lab for the lab test, and ultimately the lab test results that, oh, everything is normal, because the medical standard of health we have fixed, taking an average from the healthy individual persons, that if we count 100 peoples, and we have calculated their blood pressure, we have calculated their palpitation, we have calculated their respiration rate, we have calculated their cholesterol level, we have calculated their sugar level, whatever are the functioning of our body, and what is the normal standard, that standard we have taken as medical standard of health. And when you go to a lab test, they compare you according to that medical standard of health, but they do not consider the initial stage when these symptoms were not there, the physical changes were not there. Even then, the patient was feeling that I am not feeling well, because the doctrine of medicine, medicines which are used nowadays, are not designed to act, not designed to combat the mental faculties. What the patient say is more important. And that is why they only rely upon the symptoms, physical changes which are told by the lab, and then they try to suppress it. I can give you one example. Unless there is a acid fast bacillus tuberculosis, you do not diagnose the person is having TB. And until that, you treat him. Oh, he's having cough. Okay, take this medicine. Oh, you are having fever. Take this medicines. And you advise according to that. Ultimately, ultimately, unless and until he has acid fast bacillus, the tubercular bacillus in his sputum, or you diagnose it by other means, then and then only you can say, oh yeah, it's a tuberculosis. Okay, you need this specific type of medications. And that kind of specific treatments you take, the limit of that treatment is up to killing that acid fast bacillus, the tubercular bacillus. And when ultimately from the physical state of your body those tubercle bacilluses are eradicated, you are satisfied that, oh, my disease has gone. Whereas practically it has been presumed, it has been noted, it has been verified as well that disease is still there, because the causes which was producing this disease is still there. Unless and until it is just, if you are removing these acid fast bacillus or any type of bacteria or any type of viruses, whatever you see in the lab test, and you are removing those tests, you are removing those physical changes which came into the lab test, it means you are thinking that they are the causes of his sick health, his abnormality in the health. And if they will go, he will be healthy. You consider him healthy. But ultimately, the main thing is to consider and to eradicate what has caused that these bacilluses were there. What were the reason behind that? And those reasons are, we have to find that out. And when when it will be appeared on the system? No. Before that, any influences, when it comes over our vital force, it affects our mentality. And in what way this affects our mentality? Those are the subjective symptoms, how they feel, how they realize. Behavior changes, sensitive to cold, sensitive to heat, aggravation or aversion to take sweets, aversion to take salts, aversion to take particular type of things. All these things are the subjective symptoms which preliminary we can recognize. Preliminary, we can find out in every sick person when the lab has not tested anything, lab has not declared anything that he is having this or this kind of bacteria, and you are running. Ultimately, the basis of treatment is that if you find out any bacteria, your race is up to killing the bacteria, up to killing those causes, up to making them changes into the system which was just to reverse those changes ultimately. But what were the reasons behind that, why these changes occurred inside the body, or why this bacteria came up over there? This is different thing. This is different thing. So to eradicate all those things, we have to perceive the mentality of the patients. And that's a philosophy of the homeopathic systems. I have given many lectures on this one, but today my lecture is because uh, what language you understand. It means whatever language you understand, I can convey my message to you in the same language. And nowadays, every person every person is addicted to the prevalent medical science, that we have to find out any bacteria, any viruses, or anything else which we can claim that it has caused the disease. it has caused the sickness. In other words, I can say, unless we find anything, now we are leaving, I'm leaving the homeopathic portions, because our medications are designed, our medications are tested, our medications are taken into consideration in their preliminary stage, that how they affect our mentality, how they affect our physiques, all these things, and out of that one, how they change our mentality, what effects they have caused on our mentality. A person was very happy, jolly, and everything, and when he becomes sick, he's very irritated. This is change. This is a change. And our medicines are proved on the healthy human beings, and what type of changes they produce. These are the subjective symptoms of the person, and these are the subjective symptom of that particular medicine which was tested on that person. In this way, our homeopathic materia medica is composed of. And we treat the patient on the basis of those symptomatology. There is a big line. I will give you something, sometimes the next lecture about this one, that how we can analyze, and how we can repertorize the case for all these conditions, and reach to the conclusions what actual medicine he needs to cure everything. So that's a separate chapter, and I will discuss sometimes about this one, that how we can do that one. Okay. But I'm saying that I have to explain you in that language which basically you understand. Whenever patient comes to any doctor, they say, "Oh, you are having pneumonia, you are having tuberculosis, you are having arthritis." They name the disease. They have diagnosed the disease, and the diagnoses are made specially by taking few symptoms into considerations, not the whole personality of the persons, what he likes to eat, what he feels in the environment, in what environment he feels. Oh, there's no concern. Oh, you are having arthritis? Okay, take these medications. You are having tuberculosis? Okay, take this medicine, and this medicine is course. Ultimately, these things are fixed in your mind, in every person's mind. Whosoever becomes sick, it has been fixed in every person's mind, that that is the exact thing. Yeah, lab has confirmed this thing. Lab has confirmed this thing, that I'm having tuberculosis, I'm having bronchitis, I'm having rheumatoid arthritis, all these things, because it's a verification, and we believe that. And when we treat all these things, actually, we limit our treatment, up to killing that phase, up to subsiding that phase of the disease, which convince you to name the disease. What were the symptoms? Oh, pain joints, I cannot move my knee. When I walk, it's a stiff, I feel pain, this and that. And when there's a cold, it's aggravated. These are the symptoms, and doctor, oh, you are having arthritis. And some of the tests they do, and that test represents that, yes, he is having arthritis. And then the specific treatment give to you to treat those things, means to relieve those pains, relieve their swellings, and all that. But why it has happened? For that, we have to go deep. One thing, remember, I'm not going to the homeopathic type of explanation of these things. I'm going to the explanation what you understand, because you have been told by the doctors that you are having arthritis, but you have been told by the doctors that you are having pneumonia or bronchitis or whatever. So in this way, in every diagnostic disease, you have a particular type of changes in your cell. the basic unit of your body. Just see, a person is having tuberculosis, doctor says, oh, you are having tuberculosis, and we catch up to the lungs. We do the test for the lungs, and ultimately we find there is a sputum, but there is a blood in the sputum, and there are acid fast bacillus and all that. Then we do that one, and we treat it according to that, and try give those medications which can kill that bacillus. And ultimately, when the bacillus are killed, we say, oh, you are okay now, you are cured. But my question, my lecture of today's is that what type of changes basically occurs in any type of disease and where they occur, where they are originating. So we have to find out those things. Ultimately, I have given examples many times in these lectures that a house is built up of bricks. And bricks, yes, we say these bricks are having water and minerals and whatever they are composed of. But we consider these bricks are non-living parts of the body. Whereas, whereas our body is constructed of these kind of bricks we call cell, but they are not non-living. They are living particles of our body. They are living portion of our body. Means they are able to regenerate himself. Anything which is able to regenerate himself, anything which can regrow and advance in his life or multiply in his life, that is known as living things. And those living things, that living portion of our body is known as cell. Cell is the minimum single unit of our body. And every organ, every system is composed of these cells. There are trillions of cells which construct the whole body. Very simple. Trillions of cells unite and they form our complete body: eyes, ear, nose, throat, everything. There are 9 systems inside the body, and all the systems are composed of by these are the bricks. These are the basic unit. Basic unit of our body is a cell. And if ever any change is represented by the body, it means its origin has started from a particular type of cell. And particular type of cell means does not mean that whatever, because every cell of the body is cooperating with each other. Their function to produce life is a collective function. Not only one cell is capable of doing this thing, that he can produce this body and he can do this one. No, multiple, multi-million cells unite and their function unites collectively. It produces the life and body. In a physical term, this is the thing. So now, if we have to explain according to the modern sciences that what is the disease, what we have to cure, just like the diagnosis I have talked to you about that one, because we are fixed on the diagnosis. If the doctor diagnosed according to the lab test you are having this disease, we believe that one. This is our mentality at this time. We believe that one because lab has verified it. It's a witness that the doctor was thinking that I am having pneumonia. Now the lab test from the sputum, from the blood and everything has confirmed that I am having pneumonia. Verification, and we believe that. But is it only in the lungs? Is it only lungs, and lungs has its individual function and it do not need any help from any system of anything? No, it needs. It needs, because the whole system, the life is generated as a collective effect of all the cells inside the body. Any part of the body, any cell of the body, when it becomes sick, is unable to discharge his duty, whatever his duty is, then the whole personality feels sick. Whole personality feels that something is wrong over there and I do not feel well. It means actually the responsibility, physical explanation. This is the physical, not homeopathic explanation. It's a physical explanation that whenever a person falls sick, it means somewhere cells are not performing their duty and they may not be physically normal. But first of all, when it starts over there, it's only a sensation and feelings that they are not discharging their duty normally. And ultimately, one to other, ultimately, the whole system represents itself, whatever is wrong inside the system. Just like you are having injury on oneself. You having injury on your finger and whatever. And ultimately, you say injury is only the finger. What's the concern of the whole body? But body feels feverish, body feels pain, body feels swelling, body may have bleeding over there, body may feel immobility of the local parts. All these are the symptoms, and these are symptoms represented by your vitality. And ultimately the physical part of the vitality is a cell. I'm not going to vitality according to homeopathic system. I'm again and again repeating that today's my lecture is just to talk in the same language what you understand, and you understand the diagnosis, you understand this physical body, not the anything above from this physical body, though that something above from this physical body is responsible for all the activities, normal or abnormal, of this body. But because you understand the language of the body, function of the body, so I'm talking in that language so that you can understand easily. So building block our body is cell. And when cell, even in any part of the body, is damaged by anything, internal injury or external injury. Internal injury means when you eat something. It does not mean that it has not caused any injury in the stomach or intestines. It is, because every machinery, when it works, it is damaged. It has some abnormalities. The same way our body, every day, every cell is working. It means they may be damaged, they need to be replaced, and they are being replaced. Everything is going on in this way. So, my explanation about this one is that the single unit of our body is representing any change in his functioning, and that functioning is not only one cell that he is representing, because all the cells are working collectively. And first of all, I will give you the examples. The cells unites, they form similar type of cells, they form an organ, and there are different shapes of the cells: round, long, flat, different kind of cells, whatever is the requirement to form. Just like we have to make the liver, and to make the shape of the liver, it may be round, it may be long, something different kind of cells we need. And the cells has damage, and it's not only that one cell is damaged. No, all the cells are functioning cooperatively. And when one cell is sick, it means many other cells are sick. They are unable to perform their normal duty because the neighbor is having some problems. The same way in our normal day-to-day life, if the neighbors are having problems, yes, we do have that problems. We feel it, may more or less we feel it. The same way, if one cell is damaged, ultimately it represents that I'm not able to perform my duty. It means the other cells are also cooperating with that one, with the functions, and ultimately with the structures. They do that one. And ultimately, they represents a loss of function, abnormal functions. And then that abnormal function is represented by the lab. But before that one, there are many other things. So now we have concluded this thing, that any sickness of any type inside this body is represented by the cell, and that cell is responsible for all those things. A cell is hurted by anything, exposure, environment, medicine, food, whatever. A cell is affected by any causative factors and shows abnormal functioning inside the body. And that is not that one cell is doing this one, there are multiple cells, because they are cooperating with each other to compensate that loss. And ultimately, when the loss is bigger, all the cells are performing and helping that one, and ultimately a bigger picture is coming into consideration. And I want to convey you that what is in the cell which is responsible for showing the health and the sickness, which is represented by the or diagnosed by the lab tests. How the lab test can conclude all these things, that you are having pneumonia just only from the pneumococcus? No, if the pneumococcus is not there, even then there are some symptoms. And many of the changes in the cells we perceive from the tissue changes, from the tissue culture, and all those things, they show us that these type of changes are occurring inside the cells. And that is why you feel sick, and that is why the sickness is diagnosed by your doctor, this and that, whatever the name has been given to the disease. So, by saying this thing, I want to convey you the basic unit of any sickness. Responsible sickness or responsible part is the cell, and cell is the living particles inside the body. Cell is a living inside the body. It means we had to explore the cell, what it is. If it's showing thirstlessness, if it's showing excessive urination, if it's whatever changes inside the body is showing, it means this cell has that capacity to produce this kind of normal or this kind of abnormal symptoms. So, what is responsible inside this cell, which is responsible to show normal or abnormal, what type of a function in the body? If I'm healthy, it means what is the condition of my cell? All the cells. No doubt. We, in a particular disease, when we diagnose it, in a particular disease, we see only those type of cells. Only in pneumonia, we see it from the lungs. Tuberculosis, we see in the lungs. And rheumatoid arthritis, we see from the knees. But it does not mean that they are having only localized effects, more or less. More, or suppose if there is a death in the relatives, all the nearest and dearest, according to their distance of relationship, they feel pain, they feel sadness. The same way, all the cells of the body which are composing this whole system, whole body, they are affected more or less, though some of the cells are representing it more, the nearest representing it more. And we check those cells in the labs. We verify from those cells in the labs or blood or whatever, and diagnosed and give a name to a disease. But ultimately it's a cell change. And what is the cell change that we see? We say, and you are having arthritis, and the same cell, how it changes, what is inside the cell which is responsible, that it shows you are having pneumonia, you are having arthritis, you have hernia, you have many other diseases. We can name it according to the condition, how they are changed. What is in the cell which is responsible, or which we can diagnose that in the cell this thing has changed, and we have to repair that thing from that very point. And in this way, the first thing I want to convey you, I want to explain you about this cell. Cells are having a different kind of shape and sizes, but cell has the definite compositions inside it, which is common to all the cells. Which is common to all the cells, that every cell has this contents. So let's start with this one. Any cell, any body cell, we are talking about our body, any cell has an outer covering, just like a fort has an outer wall. That outer wall, and maybe there is some type of door. I will explain this door, what type of door. This is a special type of door. It's not like that there is a door in the outer boundary of any fort and we will enter from this one. No, it's a different kind of systematic. So this cell, or you can say the every cell, has the outer boundary, and that outer boundary is known as cell membrane wall, outer wall of the fort. And it is not having a specific type of door to enter into the cell or go out of the cell. Everything in this cell happens by the permeability, means by the pressure. Internal pressure is increased, anything from inside will go out. External pressure is increased, with that pressure, just like you filter, you decantate the tea or buttermilk and all that, you put pressure and that tea comes out of that one, and the solid material remains backward. The same way we buttermilk, the lassi, and when you filter that one, decantate that one, you put the pressure, and this liquid material will come outside, and the solid will remain backside. So this is known as permeability. So this is the process used inside our body to transport materials from one cell to the other, from one cell to the other, and it goes to the whole body, all the cells. We eat this with food materials, wastes are excreted, the energy part is mixed into the blood circulate to each and every cell, and how it enters into the cell, this is what I explained you, that is known as permeability. So with the permeability, food, energy, materials, oxygen, whatever is required by the cell enters into the cell by the outwardly pressure, and then it enters into it. So now, this membrane, this fourth wall, this membrane that is known as cell membrane, it's also known as plasma membrane. And this plasma membrane is made up of protein and lipid, you can say the fat, just like the bricks and cement. You take bricks and cements, they unite that one and make the wall. The same way, the wall of the cell membrane, is made up of protein and plasma. And the function, already I told you, its function is to, just like the custom department, any person is coming from other countries, enters to our country, and the custom department checks what he can bring inside our country, what he cannot bring inside our country. They check everything. The same way, this membrane, because of its permeability, it do not allow, or it allows the required substances which are required inside the cell to enter from outside, from the bloodstream, to go into the cell. And also, when in one cell, from bloodstream, anything has goes into the cells, that pressure is increased inside the cell, and it goes to the other cells, from cell to cell, from cell to cell, with the permeability. This is what happens. That's why you eat food and you feel full. Same way. And the this thing happens into the cell, and this control is of the cell membrane, custom department, whether or not it will allow the substances to enter into the cells, or whether it is not allowing to the. Sometimes if this membrane is damaged, suppose if this membrane is damaged, what will happen? Anything can go inside, anything can go outside. And if anything cannot go outside because of the strictness or the stiffness of the membranes, damaged inside the membranes, what will happen? There will be swelling inside it. Anywhere whenever you feel swelling, whenever you feel swelling, it means something was supposed to go out of the cell. It has not gone because of the cell membrane, because of the thickness of the substances over there, and which was not allowed by the permeability of this membrane to go out. That's why it retained over there, and you feel swelling. And there are different kinds of swelling, cystic swelling, tumor type, have many type of swellings, or outside deposits we see sometimes. And ultimately, the first thing what we see, the cell membrane works as a custom department, and it decides whether anything should go into the cell or not, whether anything thing which is coming from outside should go inside the cell or not. This is what it decided. Even sometimes people eat healthy food, eat everything what is required by the body, but even they are slimming, marasmus, many other diseases they are suffering from, because there is damage inside the cell membrane. And that food material, whatever is required by the cells, is not supplied by the cell from outside because the damage in the cells. So what to treat? We have to treat the membranes. Second thing, the function of this cell membrane is to give shape to the cells. Just like we have to make a round organ, and we need that type of, or that cell, flat cells. And something we have to make long, we need the long type of cells. But cells, their shape is changed, and this responsibility lies on the cell membrane. Means it is responsible for changing the shape of the cell. What type of, just like making the house, and we need what type of tiles, what type of bricks, what type of things we need to adjust over here. The same way the cells are changed in their different shape, and it is the responsibility of the membrane so that it can change the shape of the cell, but the internal contents remain the same. And the function of the cell remains the same. Whatever the function I will tell you term by term, just like I have just told you about the function of the cell membrane. So if ever, the main thing, if ever anything is accumulated inside in any disease, whatever will be the name of the disease, anything has been accumulated in excess and is swelling and is producing enlargement, swelling, distension, it means excess things have gone into the cell, has passed from this barrier of the membrane. It means the barrier was not okay, barrier was sick, there was a problem in that one. And how you can find it out? Yes, lab test. We find it from the lab test. I will tell you that how you can find it out, and ultimately then how to resolve it. I will tell you everything. And then if you treat any disease from its basic units, and ultimately you will be able to cure the physical body, its physique. I'm not going to the mentality according to homeopathic system, just physically what you understand according to the diagnosis. Why there was swelling? We say salt reflux. Salt is retained over there. Salt was to exclude over there, and but they are not. And the membrane did not allow the salt to come out. And more salt has retained over there. Minerals means any type of minerals. That's why there is a swelling. Swelling in the ankle, swelling in the face, swelling in the fingers, wherever you feel that one. It means there is a deposition of the excess of salt or minerals, and the membrane of the cell over there was not capable of discharging that substances out. There were not some problems in this way. So the first thing we have discussed today is the cell membrane, that it transports material from inside to out, from outside to inside in the cells, and it is the responsibility of the membrane to transport the materials, selective materials. Sometimes even required materials are not allowed to go inside. That's why we feel some weakness. And sometimes the excess of the internal materials are going out freely. Nobody's taking care of that one. Means the membrane is damaged, everything is coming up, and we are slimming. Even eating well, we are slimming in the marasmus and all that weakness. So in this way, many things we will discuss later on about this one. So this is what about the cell membrane, the basic thing. Now we'll enter into the cell. So one thing I will tell you, this cell membrane is a double layered cell, outer and inner. And in between these two layers there is a fluid always, so that when cell enlarges from inside, the inner layer will touch to the outer layer. There should not be any friction. If there will be friction, you will feel pain, stiffness, all that one. And if there is no fluid, they can scratch with each other. If there is excess of fluids, then and only then this permeability will be obstructed. So all these things, time to time, I will tell you why these diseases are produced and what type of diseases are produced if our cell membrane is not working normally. So function of the cell, first thing, that if it is damaged, all the food materials are not going reaching to the internal organelles of the cell, which are functioning for the life force, which are functioning to generate the life. They are not getting the sufficient food materials, powers, whatever they need from the membranes. And this cell membrane is giving shape wherever what type of cell is required, round, long, flat, what type of organ they are to made, and that's the responsibility of the cell members. Now the next thing is come the cytoplasm, the main thing. Sea, you see, is a sea, samundra, sea, and there are many more fishes and crocodiles and many other things. Yeah, they are living beings are moving inside the shell. The whole thing inside this membrane is known as cytoplasm. And in this cytoplasm, in this sea water, there are many more animals, many more things they are working, going here and there. And so this whole thing inside the membrane, the working unit, you can say, the working unit of the cell is inside the cytoplasm, and cytoplasm is inside the cell membrane. Everything, whatever is there, is known as cytoplasm. And this cytoplasm is a jelly type substance. It's a jelly type. And in this gel, it means it's not liquid like water. It's a little bit jelly type substance, and in which, because of that jelly type substances, the substances or the living organelles or the part of the cells are moving, but also they are remaining in a fixed distance and fixed position from each other, just like the stars, planets, with their attractions, force, gravitations. They are at same distance and they are moving into the Brahmand sky. In the same way, in this cytoplasm, there are many more things which are moving inside that, and the distance of those things is maintained fixed by this jelly type substance. And the function of this jelly type substances is that all the organelles are maintaining their distance from each other. This jelly type substances is responsible to transport the substances from one organelle to the other. And also, by this one, maintaining the energy that is known as metabolism. They all are functioning. All the organelles inside the cytoplasm, inside the cell, they are functioning and they are creating energy. And that energy is explained in medical term, outside world in the medical lines. That energy is considered as metabolic rate. Means if metabolic rate is not normal. So what's metabolic rate? Metabolic rate is that how much you earn and how much you expense. And earning and expenses. Earning is anabolic rate. A young child has higher anabolic rates. That is why they grow bigger, they grow larger. And their catabolic rate, the other part, the metabolic rate is the two parts, anabolic rate and catabolic rates. The anabolic rate is the development of our body. If we earn 5 and spend only 3, 2 are the savings. With that, ultimately our bank balance will increase. The same way our body is developing. Everything is developing in a fixed ratio. In a fixed ratio, our body is developing in this structure and function, both way. So, and ultimately the age comes up when anabolic rate and catabolic rates are equal. And then we say, no, now whatever his height is, he will remain the same. Whatever his weight, he will remain the same, because now the metabolic rate has reached to a limit where anabolic rate and catabolic rates are equal. So who is responsible for that one? If any person is going against to this rule, in a normal way, we know that now the person is 40 years old and now he will not grow more. No, because anabolic rate and catabolic rates are just coming near to each other, equal to each other. So ultimately, it's not only the physical body, it's also the internal functioning outside the body. Whatever it's doing the body. So all the functions are reaching to that extent, anabolic rate and catabolic rates, and their function is explained by this metabolic rates. In this way, who is responsible for this thing? Cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the functioning unit which maintains the development of our body, physical, mental, and functional. Functional type of everything is maintained by this. And also, the responsibility of cytoplasm is to fix all the organs at a fixed distance from each other, and and to share each other their functioning, whatever one cell is doing, whatever one organelle of the cell is doing, and this is needed by the other organelles of the cell. This is the responsibility of the cytoplasm, that it will transport over there. In the same way, just like the infections in the air, infection is transported in our environment. Cytoplasm, what is our cytoplasm of the environment? Is the air. By the air, you got one infection and that infection is transported to me. I got that infection. The same way, if any organelle is sick inside the cytoplasm, it may affect to the other organelles as well. And the function is dependent upon each other. I will explain every organelles of the cell, what's their functions, and how we can recognize all these organelles, what they do inside the body, and if they fall sick, what type of symptoms we see outside the body, so that we can easily understand the basic of sickness. So the cytoplasm, I have told you about that one. This is inside this membrane, cell membrane. Inside everything is considered cytoplasm, and in this cytoplasm there are many more organelles of the cells, part of the cell, you can say, working. There is a motor. In the motor there are filters. This is many other things which are helping to run this motor. In the same way, this body, the cell as a whole is functioning. It means all the organelles inside, they are moving, they are functioning, and that is the responsibility of the cytoplasm. Now, not outside. Outside was the other things, and this is known as cytoplasm, and it is the responsibility of the cytoplasm to keep all the organelles in their fixed positions, so that they can work and they can transport whatever they make, or they can take whatever they need from the other organelles. Exchange, and this exchange is done by the cytoplasm. So now I think today our time is over. Tomorrow, all the Sikh persons, especially the Indian community and the Sikh community, they know that this is the second 15th Pandravada, we can say, 2 weeks time of this December. And it's a very crucial period, very sad period for our Sikh communities. What happens, I will explain tomorrow. What happened in these 15 days with the Sikh community in the history, with the, you can say, the Guru Gobind Singh's life and his families and whatever has happened. That is our history. So what happened in these 15 days, I will explain tomorrow, and that will be in Punjabi. So I will convey to all the listeners that whosoever wants to listen that lecture, I will explain everything, what was happening when Guru Gobind Singh was in Anandpur Kila, and when he came out of that one, and what was the condition at that one, what happens after that one, what happened to his family, what happens to himself, and all these things I will explain tomorrow. Life after Anandpur Kila. Okay, so whosoever want to listen all these things, he can tune up tomorrow. And tomorrow the Radio Parvaz from New Jersey and also from India, and they will join us with this program. And even one radio from North Carolina will also join with us to listen all these things, so that every person, every Indian community, every whosoever is related to the Sikh history can understand what had happened. I think everybody who is going to the gurdwaras, they are listening from various preachers. They are preaching all these things about the history, Sikh history, in these days. So the same thing, I will play my role, my duty to explain what I know about all these things, and the Sikh history will explain tomorrow. So this is your host Gurdeep Singh Sandhu, homeopathic consultant. And after tomorrow's programs, these programs will continue as is, as we have scheduled, that one day will be in English, the other day will be in Punjabi or Hindi, and the next day in the other Punjabi or Hindi. Means uh, all the three languages I'm covering. And there's 1 hour lecture every day from 5 to 6 p.m. in California Pacific Standard Time. And in whatever language you understand, English, Hindi, Punjabi, you can listen to my lectures, and you can understand how this life has created, and how this body has been constructed, and how this body falls sick, and what is the responsible part and portion of the this body which falls sick, and how it falls sick. So everything I'm explaining one by one in these lectures. So after this tomorrow's religious program, we will continue again with these programs. Rabraka, God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. with this religious program. Sat Sri Akal, Adab, Namaskar.